episode of Between Two Torches. I'm Elliette Barrows, and I will be your host for this semester. For our first episode, I am sitting down with President Alexander. Thank you for sitting down with us today.
Oh, great for Lady Di and me to be here with you.
Very glad to have the extra interviewee today. So starting off, just a recap for last semester, there were 57 positive cases when students left for winter break. What were you able to do to keep transmission so low compared to other universities in the area?
Well, first and foremost, it started with the behavior of people on campus. The people were really great about following the protocols and the safety measures we put in place. And that included students and employees and vendor employees. In addition to that, we were very fortunate in being able to test people frequently. Most places in the country that wasn't possible. But here in Massachusetts, we had access to the Broad Institute's ability to analyze a lot of tests quickly, get the responses back to us within a few hours, and to do it at a cost that was reasonable, less than what the public was paying for it. Still very expensive, still a big burden on the budget, but we were able to do it. And the combination of the testing and the behavior really worked. As you know, we started that kind of tagline, it's not just about you, it's about everybody. And I think people took that seriously, and they really thought about complying, not just themselves, but making sure everybody around them complied. And it seems like it really worked.
It's a great tagline. So looking at this semester, has anything changed in your plan to keep transmissions low?
Not really. We knew that that coming back from a month away, when there was a surge in the country generally in Massachusetts, we would probably see a higher rate of infections at the beginning, and we did, but not as high as we thought we would. So it actually turned out to be pretty good. So we had a little bit of flare, but nothing we couldn't handle. We were able to get everybody isolated or quarantined appropriately within the same day of getting the tests back, and then it fell off. In fact, we recently went a 13-day period with no positive tests at all. We have had some in the last couple of days.
That's fantastic. So for students, what can they keep doing in order to keep the cases low and to keep campus safe?
Well, look, I know it's been a long time now, and it's wearing on all of us that we haven't been able to be together with our friends the way that we want, with our families. I'm separated from my own family, so I understand that perfectly. It's basically me and Lady Di all the time. I can't be with my staff except on Zoom most of the time. And the longer it goes on, the harder it is. And it creates anxiety and stress and even distress. So I understand that, and students are feeling that too, including the students who are here on campus. So as we go forward, there's more and more of a desire to get past that. And I understand that. And that students want to have more opportunity to be together. During the winter, it's especially tough because it's harder to sit in the tents and eat together. So we've been looking at things that we can do about that. As you know, 1851 opened up recently, and there's one thing, and I understand that's getting a lot of action. We're looking at how we can open up parts of the dining hall, but still, this is a deadly disease, and it is still out there, and there are new variants coming into our neighborhood and our state. We don't really know what all the effects of those new variants are going to be, so we still have to be vigilant. We have to be careful. We still have to look out for each other. We still have to stick together and endure it a little bit longer. Vaccinations have started, but not as fast as anybody would like. We don't yet know if we're even going to have the opportunity to vaccinate students before they go home for the summer. We certainly hope so. So it's still there's a great deal of uncertainty. So we have to be disciplined and careful and compliant a little while longer, as tough as that is.
So talking about the vaccine, LaSalle has become is able to distribute vaccines for some people. Who are the people that have gotten vaccines on campus so far?
So we did apply to be a vaccine provider with the state's Department of Public Health. We're approved to do that. And as you know, the state has developed a multi-phase plan for the rollout of vaccines. Phase 1 was healthcare providers, testing center personnel, and essential personnel like police. And so we were able to provide vaccines for that group, for ourselves and 11 other institutions of higher education, which was great. And that went very well, and our staff did a marvelous job making that happen. And recently they got their second doses. We, up until this week, whenever we applied for doses to vaccinate people with, we received them the following week. This week, just on Tuesday, we were notified that we aren't going to get this week's order. And we have about 180 people who have now become eligible, mostly people over 65. And so we were planning to vaccinate, but the doses didn't show up. The state notified us that we're not going to get them for a while. And that's all the colleges and universities, not just us, and any smaller provider, because they just aren't getting enough from the federal government. And they've told us that's probably going to be true for at least the next several weeks. Now, eventually that'll loosen up and there'll be more, and we assume that then we'll start to receive doses and be able to continue. So mostly what I'm saying is right now we've done essential personnel, healthcare personnel, testing center personnel, people over 75. That's about it so far.
So you said that if there's an opportunity for students to become vaccinated, you hope to give them the opportunity. Will there be a plan in place if the opportunity arises?
So yes, there will be. There's nothing we can communicate yet because we don't know the timing, and we don't even know if we can do it. The vaccine that we've had available has been the Moderna vaccine, which requires 4 weeks between the first and second dose. So if you think about that for students, that means they got to get the first dose by early April at the latest so that they can get the second dose. That's not very far away. That's just slightly more than a month. So right now, given that they've shut us off for the moment, that doesn't look very positive. But who knows? That could change. So we have the ability to do hundreds of vaccinations a day. And certainly for the students who are on campus and our community students, we could serve all of them in probably 2 days once we are allowed to, which basically means once we have the doses and the state has gotten to phase 3, which is when most students and employees would be eligible to be vaccinated.
So most likely not going to happen before summer.
No, I wouldn't say that. No, I wouldn't say that. I'd call it 50-50 right now.
50-50? Okay. So I know in the fall the flu shot became mandatory for LaSalle students. Do you have a similar plan to have the COVID vaccine become mandatory when the students are finally allowed to get it?
So this is an important question for next fall.
Yes.
Right? When we certainly hope to have most, not everybody, back on campus. And the answer to your question is we don't know yet. We haven't decided whether it will be mandatory. We know that legally we're allowed to make it mandatory, but right now it's not even an important question because there are more people who want to get vaccinated than there are doses to vaccinate them. So we don't really have to face that question yet. It also appears to be true that if you get to the point where 90 to 95% of the vaccinated people are vaccinated, then the transmission is really difficult for the virus, and the community is pretty much protected. So you don't have to vaccinate every single person. Even if we did have a mandate, there would be people who would be accepted, people who had certain medical conditions primarily. So you're never going to get a whole 100%. So the answer, that's a long way of saying, is we haven't decided whether it'll be mandatory, and we don't need to decide yet.
Many students are feeling isolated with all the restrictions on campus. Is there anything being done to help students socialize? I know 1851 has reopened late night, and that has been a huge victory for students that have been wanting that to happen. Are there any other plans in work for students to socialize on campus?
So there are places around campus where you can do it, and they've been designated. I don't know if students are really that aware of it, and there is even an opportunity to reserve some of those spaces where they can go and be physically distant with masks and socialize, take their food and eat it there, not just in their own rooms. That would include the lounges in the residence halls, space in the STC, Glow Lounge, other places like that, and so we're trying to get the word out that there are places. The tents are still available, but it's just still cold. But pretty soon it might be warm enough again with the heaters to start using the tents again. And I know that worked really well in the fall. And you've seen that at least a couple of those are still up. And and they're going to be ready to go as soon as they're ready now. But I think people will start to use them more. And then we hope to free up some space in the dining hall. That's very difficult. The 1851. We're looking for every opportunity we can. But as I said, we have to err on the side of being safe, because I mean, think about it. If we had one person who got really sick and had to go to the hospital, or God forbid died, that would be too many, right?
Agreed.
So we just can't have that happen. And this thing, over 500,000 people have been killed in this country by this thing. And they're not just all older people. So I understand that people are feeling isolated, and I am myself. So I get it. But we're going to have to endure a little bit longer. We're going to have to stick together and realize that it's in the best interest of all of us to be safe.
I know I really appreciate all the work that you and all the faculty at LaSalle have been doing to keep us safe. I
think the important thing to remember is that teaching and learning are still going on. And they're going on at a great pace. People are still, succeeding in their courses. They're progressing towards their degrees. Sure, some people are struggling with it, especially people learning from home. I think are even more so. But they're still making progress. And we haven't let the pandemic stop the essential thing that we do here, which is help people grow, help people develop their intellectual and personal skills and characteristics. And I'm really proud that we've been able to keep that going and keep it going well.
Just to end this, with COVID, it's hard for students to get the full college experience, obviously. But thinking about next year and prospective students, what do you anticipate the environment to be like in the fall 2021 semester?
So honestly, I can't say, because I don't know what the course of the virus is going to be. It seems like there's a really good chance that a lot of people will be vaccinated and will be able to have it under control, and have the place be, have the campus be what we would hope it would be again. But those variants are out there. It's a possibility that, the vaccine won't quite work against all those. I don't think that's what's going to happen, but it's possible. So the total answer is we don't know yet. However, I can tell you what we want and what we're probably going to plan for. And that is really to have people back, everybody back on campus. I think it's unlikely that there's going to be a wholly online option for next year. So I think it's going to be residents and commuters like what you're used to in terms of the living environment. And most of our social life will be back, if not all of it. Classroom experience, though, is more variable. I don't think that's going to ever go back to the way it was entirely. And that's probably a good thing, because we've learned that some people learn better some ways than others. Having a variety of ways to attend classes and learn appears to be a good thing. We've developed new technology. Just the recording of classes, for instance, as a habit is a great thing for students, because they can go back and watch it if they miss class or they want to review something. You don't have to borrow notes from your friends anymore and try and figure out what they say. You just go watch the class. That's just one small example. We've gotten more sophisticated at the use of Canvas and have more services and tools being used through Canvas. There are all kinds of creative things that can be done now in how we deliver the courses, and recognizing that different people learn in different ways. So I think we and the faculty are actually going to get better at that as time goes along. I've had a couple of meetings in the last week with faculty and others, and they've said that they've learned things themselves that they're going to incorporate, even when we're back in the classroom full time, which I can tell you everybody wants. Me, faculty, students, everybody. So that's our desire. I also think it's likely, but it's not certain.
Well, thank you so much. This has been the first episode of Between Two Torches. Thanks for tuning in, and big thank you for President Alexander for joining us.
It was great to be here with you.